Guys, I'm telling you, when she's about to cheat, she does these. Number one, there are several unexplained times where she is unavailable. She's not able to give you tenable explanations as to where she was, why her phone was off, why she was inaccessible. It's always one excuse after the other that makes absolutely no sense. Let me tell you this. If you are dating a woman who is inaccessible, and especially when you realize a trend that at certain points in time you just cannot seem to get through to her no matter what, and it's always just some random excuses, then I'm sorry to tell you, there is someone who is definitely occupying her time whilst you are frantically trying to reach her and are not able to. She may see this video and deny it all she wants, but I'm telling you, bro, listen to me. She is about to cheat on you if she hasn't already started.
So I was dating like this one dude, and he had found out that I cheated, but it was with a girl. So I just feel like, that's something you could forgive. If it was a guy, it would be like, no, but it was a girl. But I knew that moment, I feel like that hurts like men's pride, like when they feel like they got their bitch took, and especially from a girl, it's like a damn. So ever since then, like, he would be cool with me, but it was never the same. So I was like, yeah, that moment I knew I fucked up. Yeah. I fucked up. And I didn't even want her for real, though. Like, when I was just dating strictly girls, like, yeah, I was cheating.
Hey, I'm gonna stay the night shift. Yeah, I'm gonna stay tonight. Is that okay? Yeah. Is it a problem? Well, okay, yeah, I just, I'll give you a call in the middle of the night. Yeah. So I'm just gonna stay tonight. I'll be home about 7:30. Okay. All right, I love you. Okay, bye.
So you went for it?
Yes. Not happy, but yeah.
You booked a hotel room already?
Hotel room's booked. Keys in my car.
Alright, bet.
Incoming wounded! Incoming wounded!
Okay, but hear me out. Wouldn't it be crazy if men were meant to submit to women? And women were meant to protect and provide, which is why we're so good at it. But the patriarchy's convinced us that we need men to do that so they feel needed and we feel powerless. Wouldn't that be crazy?
You stupid!
Welp, that was rough to watch, but it's always good to have a solid reminder. Fellas, loyalty really is a masculine trait, and this wasn't a big reveal until our generation entered the workforce. Today, there is so much propaganda showing how women once had a borderline, if not literal, legal obligation to stick it out in a marriage, and if they failed, there was no incentive or applause at the end of the tunnel. Just silence. A society that would shun them in disapproval for failing at the one thing that keeps the wheel in motion. While this is painted as an example of some kind of tyranny, the fact of the matter is that these policies existed for a reason. It was a way to contain the positive inertia, because as women age, or at this point at any age, start to lose their minds, there was no benefit to throwing the baby out with the bathwater and hopping on the carousel. Yet, now it's different. Now we have to see garbage like this on a daily basis.
So a lady walked past me and was like, "Oh, put him away." Ma'am, we are in a fucking recession, okay? Everyone is miserable. I am doing a public service by looking this good, okay?
fat.
This attitude is the Western default, and even as men are walking away in droves, I don't see major changes to make this any better. The fact is, women in the modern landscape are brainwashed, and anytime one of them starts to feel regret, they blow on the proverbial embers by watching a long set of reels and shorts of women with talents, preaching about how they are such a prize that they can just dip and restart without anyone being the wiser. And while this used to be a sadly successful practice before all of this exposure, now we all have the content and data to prove to ourselves and everyone else that now a real guy should be caught dead with a chick in the West under pretty much any circumstance. Not when there's stories that just prove the point, like, women are cheating more than ever in relationships. Here's why. Sabrina Haynes wrote this one. Let's get into it, y'all. Most women are taught from the time we can remember that keeping a guy's eye from roaming is next to impossible. We're instilled with the idea that far too many men are cheaters, and the likelihood that we'll date one is high enough that we should always be suspicious. Obviously, the unfortunate truth is that a guy who cheats is hardly uncommon. One study found that 46% of male respondents admitted to having cheated on a significant other in the past, while another study found that 20% of married men are unfaithful at some point. These odds are certainly too high for comfort.
Wrong number.
But with all of our focus on men's infidelity, it's easy to forget that women actually cheat as well, and at higher rates than we'd guess too. Some researchers say that over the past few decades, the number of women cheating has gone up by over 40%, and some even say that young women are getting closer to cheating as often as their male counterparts.
Getting warmer.
But this doesn't line up with what we've always been told about men and women, that men simply aren't naturally monogamous, and therefore will be the ones to cheat, and women are, that women want nothing more than to get a ring on their finger and get the guy to commit for life. So why then do some women cheat? Alright, before we get into the ridiculous and forgiving reasons why women jump Chad at the club with 3 kids and a husband at home, the facts need to be straightened out a bit. Sabrina, women in the West are cheating far more often in today's climate, and the stats you're using are broad and vague at best. The idea that only about 40% of modern women cheat is an extremely generous number, and it doesn't even account for the women who lie about cheating, which is almost all of them. From going out with girlfriends to workplace affairs, this number is closer to 70 to 80%. And even if it was this fictional 40%, how is this, in any way, comparable to the judgment cast on masculinity at the beginning here? As I've said before, ideally, nobody is going to cheat. But when they do, the nature of cheating for men versus women is completely different. And that comes down to the mentality on each side of the aisle.
When it comes to dating, does it matter if he's using an Android or iPhone?
They can't have an Android. Yes, of course. You're not gonna have a Samsung.
Why?
Bad vibes. AirDrop, out of there. Green messages, not aesthetically pleasing. I feel like I'm texting my granny. Androids, out of there. The phone matters.
Cause how am I gonna FaceTime you? No, that's fucking shitty. I don't want it.
You met someone that you're attracted to.
Okay.
He pulls out an Android phone.
I'm walking away. I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna walk away.
The hell?
You have an Android?
You got me.
Brilliant.
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 It would be wonderful if I could say, like, and this is that women are just better than men. These men, you know, they abandon this woman when she loses the beauty of her youth. The women, when they lost their financial health, the women stayed. Bull, absolutely not. They were out. They were out the door. Like, they were out the door with half of whatever was left, and they were out like it was a fire sale. Like, they were like, shit, this ship's going down. I'm out of here right now. We were filing actions while the court was closed. Because women were like, no, we got to get a snapshot right now of what the assets are, because I want one half of the value right now. Because I think in 6 months, this could all be gone.
Well, Sabrina, this doesn't exactly help the argument you're trying to make, does it? Kinda looks like the nature of the cheating and disloyalty does matter, even though you try and ignore that. I said it a while back, but there's a reason the very few objective social scientists say men cheat to stay, women cheat to leave. Again, promises should be kept regardless of who is making them, but to sit there and say that female cheating and male cheating should be judged in the same black and white way is ludicrous on so many levels. And I got no doubt that this next part will be all about treating the women with kid gloves. It could be due to low self-esteem.
Jesus Christ.
When many of us imagine someone who cheats, we might imagine someone who's overly confident, self-absorbed, and cocky. We think of someone who only ever takes what they want into account, thinking their desires are the most important thing. We imagine someone who flirts unshamedly and is always seeking the next thrill.
I wonder why.
But some women who cheat don't fit this mold. In fact, a leading reason that women cheat is due to low self-esteem. Maybe she doesn't believe she's attractive or valuable, so she seeks out attention from other men in order to validate herself. Because getting validation from her boyfriend or husband isn't enough to satiate her endless need for it anymore.
Okay.
Of course, this understandable struggle is not one that should be dealt with by looking for attention outside the relationship. Instead, it should be addressed by working through the struggle, possibly by enlisting the help of a professional counselor.
Tell your friends.
She might feel unloved by her man.
Make it stop!
Sometimes a woman's reason behind being unfaithful has less to do with an internal struggle with herself and more to do with what she feels she isn't getting from her boyfriend or husband. A relationship where we're supposed to be met with tangible affection, love, and desire.
Shut the fuck up.
But maybe her man has been working longer hours and paying less attention to her. Maybe she can't remember the last time he did something romantic like plan a date, get her flowers, or kiss her when she didn't expect it. Maybe she's been feeling like he took her for granted and wasn't trying in the relationship anymore.
In imagination land.
Feeling unloved, unpursued, and undesired by our man is damaging to the relationship and ourselves. But the best way to handle this predicament is to communicate with him about what we feel we're missing, offering him a chance to work on the relationship with us rather than engaging in behavior like cheating, which will not just multiply the relationship problems, but will cause him severe psychological damage. Sabrina. What the hell was that all about? I'll give you 1 point for criticizing the act as a response to these feelings. 1 point, but everything preceding the message is just total nonsense. I swear the "he's always at work" cliche is so tired and overused that it might as well be called Cardi B syndrome. What modern women see as neglect, the rest of the world understands is just basic human nature. Men are literally designed in every way to provide as much as possible to their families. Again, good for you, I guess, for understanding that these impulses are wrong, but the idea that any of these feelings are rational or understandable is just hilarious. Lady, here's the real problem, and it has to do with framing. Pretty much everything you've said women have a hard time handling is what masculinity is. Guys get hyper-focused on their goals. Women get bored because they refuse to take responsibility to keep the house in order, and then everything goes to shit. It's a nice thought that therapy and communication is the solution to this widespread problem of infidelity, but the problem goes far deeper than paying massive amounts of money to a mediocre oracle in a leather chair. These chicks are lost.
Jealous?
No. Okay. But I do have boundaries.
What's your boundaries? What would make you upset?
Like if I just tell you not to do something and then like you deliberately do it again, you know? Like if we're dating, I wouldn't want you to go out to the club with your girls.
You say you wouldn't want me to go to the club with my girls?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you want me to stay at home all the time?
No, I mean, we could be together all the time. What the fuck you need to be at the club for?
I'm not saying like if we go, okay, so if I went out every now and then with my girls?
No, especially not with that ass, you crazy.
That mean that you're insecure?
I mean, those are my boundaries. If you don't like them, it's okay, you can leave. I'm just saying like, I'm not gonna stop you. Those are my boundaries.
Makes sense to me.
Women can feel one way in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and then in their 50s take half of your shit and your children, and I've seen it. And so again, I'm just not in the business of selling dreams, and that I won't do it. I think it's mean. And because I just have interviewed too many men on the other side that have been sold a bill of goods by Christian women that know how to rebrand themselves. And then 10 years, 20 years, there's no such thing as a Christian woman in divorce court.
Yeah.
And this might sound cynical, and I understand why it does to the average person.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, it's like, if you have seen what I have seen, like I've interviewed men that, you know, the pastor, right? That's one. Another example is a guy, he found a Christian. She was from Eastern Europe, and he hadn't seen his children in 3 years. They lived a mile from him. So, you know, I would tell guys to never trust a woman. And I know that sounds cynical, but, you know, I've also interviewed guys who've built up like huge companies, and they ended up having to sell their company because of a woman.
Once again, Sabrina, it looks like your reasoning has fallen flat on its face. The idea that all of these issues can be solved with a heart-to-heart or therapy ignores the elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about Lizzo. No, I'm talking about the generational conditioning that has removed most of the femininity from these supposedly normal women, and turned them into money-hungry addicts that are constantly inundated with sprinkle strategies to send their entire family into a state of poverty. That's the kind of thing that just can't be washed away with a little communication and tough love. But Sabrina has one more typing to throw in before stating the obvious. She feels lonely and emotionally neglected.
I give up.
It's hardly uncommon to come across a woman who complains that her husband is practically devoid of emotional intelligence, leaving her to deal with her inner world and struggles completely on her own.
She is a child.
Sure, they're technically together every evening, but he never wants to know what she's thinking about, never asks probing questions, never makes her feel less alone. He even brushes her feelings off. So she decides to find someone who does, or at least she feels does, want to know what's going on in her mind, who cares, who's a friend to her, who she feels she can talk to for hours. In her mind, he gets her, and wants to get her, on a level that her husband just couldn't. She's starving for emotional connection, so what likely starts out as an emotional affair ends up becoming a physical affair. Well guys, I'd read the rest, but any more would make us all need a bag next to our seats. She goes on to state the obvious again, that cheating isn't the answer, and if we all just got along better, none of this would never have happened. But you know what, Sabrina? Like every other chick that writes this trash, you missed the dirty details. See, in the past, almost none of this was happening. There were men that went out to work and maybe even had a mistress, but the fact of the matter is that people in general were still far better off than they are now relationship-wise. So why is that? Is it because the veil has been lifted? Are we now enlightened and wise? Have women improved mentally in ways never seen before? No, none of this has happened. Like most other female writers, you miss one of the key ingredients to the feminist soup that has made all of this a complete disaster: entitlement. Women were given absolutely everything as the protected class. They didn't have to lift a finger if a man was in their lives, but along the way, the system started to convince them that there was something more than everything. Chicks were given a bill of goods, an imaginary man that just doesn't exist on Earth. They started asking for $300 dates and half the paycheck for drinking wine and watching The View. And when they didn't get it, they acted like children, constantly chasing a dream that has no foundation in reality. The requests became so crazy that we all just stopped trying, and you only have yourselves to blame because this is where we are now.
This is how to talk to a feminist. Let's begin.
So the history of feminism
Be quiet.
is actually...
Shut up. Shut up.
Oh, okay.
Why didn't you tell him that you've been serving his brother for the past 2 years?
Because the past is the past. I don't want to lose him. He's a good man.
That was the answer I was hoping you'd give. The past is the past. You see, our John says you've changed, and I believe him. And that's good. Change is good. So I wish you both every happiness. And I want you to see that as my wedding gift to you, and our farewell to pleasures gone by.
You mean one last time?
One last time. You and me.
So where should we go?
So the past is not the past. You can keep the money, Lizzie. Just get out of the car.
Tommy, please.
Just get out of the car.
I love him, Tommy. Really. Really.
It's not a matter of honesty, ladies. It's a matter of behavior. For you, the past can never be the past. But, ironically, by running from the past, in the eyes of real men, as a result of your actions, that's exactly where you sit in the minds of men. We've all moved on. Good luck paying the bill. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember that if you leave the best comment, you'll get $5. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future uploads, drop a comment, and share it. See you in the next video. Till next time.